Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Lisa's Picks, where I give my views and reviews of some of the books out there on the most sought after subjects. Well, at least the most sought after subjects that people come to our store looking for information about. So, I'm going to talk now a little bit about the craft. And I'm going to specifically talk about traditional witchcraft, right? I'm talking about Gardnerian Wicca, Alexandrian Wicca, or hived built traditions. So we're talking about Wicca. I'd like to say that anyone of any religion can claim to be doing witchcraft. We even can see people who are Christian witches. They're performing ritual and magic as their prayer, maybe. I don't want to get into a big debate about who and who cannot claim to be a witch. The books that I'm reviewing in this segment are specifically geared towards Wicca, the craft of the wise, and figuring out information to do with traditional witchcraft. So in our class on the craft of the wise, we start out by talking about the history of the craft, and we call them the movers and the shakers. And we talk about Gerald Gardner and Doreen Valiente, not to be confused with Doreen Virtue. Huge difference. Doreen Valiente, the mother of modern witchcraft, modern Wicca. Gerald Gardner, the father. We also talk about Patricia Crowther and other people who have been part of Gardnerian Wicca and still are. So the books I'm going to talk about are really good books for understanding the craft of the wise, and then I'm going to talk about some that are a little more scholarly that help you understand the behind the scenes, the structure, the background of the craft, and maybe brought it forward enough for people in modern times to do the research and give birth to the craft. All right, so the first author I'm going to talk about is Patricia Crowther. So there's a wonderful publishing company called Phoenix Flames who has taken the Kapelban books that were no longer being published and gotten them published by Phoenix Flames for Patricia. Phoenix Flames is also working with Philip Heselton and a lot of other really wonderful authors. And some of you may have met Ashley Mortimer when he was here, and he's one of the owners of Phoenix Flames. So the books are in really good hands and being published so that they can really help people find their way. So this book, Lid Off the Cauldron, a Wiccan handbook by Patricia Crowther, really cool book, and you'll find the witch's runes in here. So it's worth a read. This is an old copy by Kapelban because, again, I've been around a while, but it is now in print by Phoenix Flames, and you couldn't go wrong if you wanted to read this book on Wicca. She also wrote this, The Zodiac Experience, Initiation Through the 12 Signs. Could that cycle of understanding have something to do with the craft of the wise? You may want to find out by reading this book. Then she also wrote kind of a mini biography, Stagecraft to Witchcraft, and her magic and friendship with Gerald Gardner, and her work in the pagan community and in Wicca. So those three books are very valuable for the budding witch. Now, I would have to say that probably my favorite author is Doreen Valiente. Anything you can get your hands on written by Doreen is worth reading. So we have here the rebirth of witchcraft. Since 1951, when the last of the Witchcraft Act was repealed, many books have been written about the reappearance of witchcraft and the development of pagan theory. Churchmen have denounced it, sociologists have wondered about it, journalists have penned sensational stories about it, but until this publication of this book, no one had told the real story of it. It's told here. So this is really, really worth a read. She also wrote natural magic. This has topics like herbs and flowers, amulets, talismans, the elements, card reading, numbers, color, weather predicting, relationships, dreams, birds, animals, traditional spells, and more. Very concise, easy to understand, really meant to help people. Again, Doreen, pioneer. Then, interesting story. The Witch's Bible Complete is 2 books, 8 Sabbaths for Witches and What Witches Do, combined into the Witch's Bible. This is a really close look at the craft from the inside. There are rituals, initiations, sympathetic magic for turning the wheel, and, Janet wrote Dance Lady Dance on the Oak King's grave. That's in here. It really is the Witch's Bible. If you really want to try to understand what you're doing and how to do it, and when to do it, and why to do it, and why not to do it, Witch's Bible by the Farrars. You can still get this book. Hugely valuable. It is very Alexandrian, Gardnerian in tradition. Now, I couldn't really review Wicca books and not tell you about this one. Simply Wicca by Anton and Lisa Stewart. And it isn't really just for beginners. If you might be on the path for a long time and not understand some of the correspondences, magical timing, or astrological things that we relate to the Wheel of the Year, you might not know how to pick a magical name. You might not understand the difference between dedication and initiation. So the book is written really simply. Again, kind of like somebody's telling you a story. And it's, if you really want to understand Wicca, Craft of the Wise. There's a history in here, there's information about tools, and we really wrote it again to try and help people. Now we're going to get a little bit off to the side, because in the craft you work with elemental beings. So it might be nice to have some kind of understanding of, fairies, sylphs, undines, gnomes, wee folk. So again, Cassandra Eason, one of my favorite authors, Fairies and Magical Beings, complete guide. Ted Andrews also wrote some books on fairy folk, which are valid and good. But this kind of is a well-rounded place to kind of understand what energy are you working with, and are you ready to work with that energy? All right. Now, we're kind of into a little more esoteric foundation here. But this book by Dion Fortune, this book by Dion Fortune, The Training and Work of an Initiate, has a section in it about elementals, where she tries to convey that they are different beings, that they don't have the same conscience that we do, right? They are sentient beings. They are conscious, but they may not have the same conscience. And she also talks about group mind in here. And this is really, really, I mean, look at this cover. Some crazy stuff to decode there. Middle pillar, Da Vinci, divine self. Okay, training and work of an initiate. Great background work for a witch. Murray Hope, The Psychology of Ritual. Why are we going to do this work anyway? Why we need to cast a circle? I don't understand. Can't I just pray? We all perform rituals of one kind or another during the course of our daily lives. These range from purely practical routines in our home life to social, political, religious, and magical observations which vary according to our personal ideas and persuasions. The rites we choose to perform are highly revealing as they act as an unconscious statement of our real intention and transpersonal aspirations. The rituals we perform are the keys to the hidden self. Yeah, really needful book to get to the heart of the matter of you as a witch. And then, when you've been on the path for a while and you want to go digging, maybe you want to go on some crazy rabbit hole like Alice in Wonderland, you could read The White Goddess by Robert Graves. By the way, chapter 12 is all about the Ogham. Again, seminal work. Big, thick book. Digested a piece at a time. You may have to read the same sentence again when you read the sentence that comes after it to put them together. But talk about a wonderful book to read for the dark time, to just go within and dissect it and let it get into your persona and your psyche and see where you're standing. Then 10 years, read it again and see what you see differently after you've turned the wheel a few times. Wonderful book. And last but certainly not least, The Triumph of the Moon by Ronald Hutton. You will need a magnifying glass because it's the print is I can't get it right, 8 or something ridiculous. And it's written very scholarly. But this would make a really great book club book for people to read and discuss. But you'd have to have the right people. The History of Modern Pagan Witchcraft, Triumph of the Moon, Oxford Press. Really great book. There are 100 godzillion books on Wicca. A lot of them are regurgitated. And a lot of them are not traditional craft. So I want you to understand, you could go get a plain and simple kind of book on Wicca. And it'll tell you, here's the Sabbats, here's what you do on a full moon, here's what you do on a new moon. But it kind of says, do whatever you want. That's okay if that's what you want to do. But if you really want to get to the heart of the craft of the wise, it's better to do it in a tradition that's already been forged. That doesn't mean you couldn't be a solitary in that tradition. You absolutely could. But decide what you're going to do. Are you going to be traditional witch? Are you going to be an eclectic witch? Are you just going to call yourself a witch because you do candle magic? And then look for information, groups, or books that will support what it is that you feel you want to do, what's calling you, the path you want to walk upon. So again, these books that I put forth today are for people who want to follow traditional witchcraft, Wicca, Gardnerian, Alexandrian, or traditions built upon Gardnerian Wicca. I hope I've helped you. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And should you have any questions, please put them in the comments. And if there are any other books that you'd like me to review, a subject of books, I'll dig around and see what I think are the best picks to help you with that. We still have a bunch to go. There's all kinds of other divination tools we could look at, all kinds of things we could review. So let me know what you'd like to see, and I'll try to get onto it. All right? Thank you, and blessed be.